everybody, this is Dave Reynolds and welcome to another episode of Amazing Guitars Friday, and I'm really excited to be here with my good buddy Steve Ogburn, and we're on location here in his studio, so this is a real treat today. And Steve and I have been, we've known each other for a long time and have sort of reconnected. I've been really getting interested in, I've been surfing for a long time, but I've gotten more and more interested in the music and the history of it, and so that prompted me to definitely want to come visit Steve because he has a lot of knowledge about surf music, about the instruments, and he has 3 different collections of instruments. He's got Gretsch guitars, he's got Fender guitars, and he's got Mosrites. And so we're just going to cover a couple of things today, and he'll cover more things on his website or YouTube channel, which is
Surfy Sonic.
Surfy Sonic.
You can find me on YouTube and Twitch. I also do Twitch gaming, so I'm a gamer, nerd, man-child, surf punk guy. So you can find me on just do a search for Surfy Sonic, one word, and you'll find me on YouTube, and you'll might find more of my gaming stuff, but I also do music play-alongs, and I'll be doing more gear-oriented videos coming down the pike. So.
Okay, good. So if you want to ask him any questions or talk about more gear, just contact myself or Steve. And you're also part of Surf 101 Guitar,
yeah,
which is like an organization.
Well, it's just guitar forums online, but they're great communities. There's Surf Guitar 101. I'm also in the Gretsch Talk forums, which is also another super great community, and I'm also on offset guitar forums, and also great knowledge for offset guitars like these. And and everything I've learned is either through those other folks or just my own research and things. So I don't know everything, and just to clarify, the only Mosrite I have is the bass back here, but I do have a Mosrite copy that's also, hopefully, I don't know if you can see it in the shop, but we'll show them next time. Okay. It's a copy. There are several makers of Mosrites, just real quick too, that make reissue versions, and we could talk about those when we talk about Mosrites next time, so.
All right, perfect. So there's some really good information for you if you're interested in learning more about surf guitar music, and certainly you can catch Steve on his social media sites. So let's talk a little bit about the guitar you're holding there. What do you got?
Oh, also, I'm on Twitter and all that stuff. This is the Fender Jaguar. It's shorter scale. It's 24.5 inches in length, whereas the full scale is 25 inches for Fender necks.
And then can you tell us a little bit about some of the switches and the pickups there?
Oh, sure. There's an alternate circuit up here. I'll talk about that in a second. This is the main switches for your pickups, your bridge pickup and your neck pickup. So this middle one is your bridge pickup. And so if we have that down, let's see, it's off. Everything is off. I just can hear it still through the amp a little bit. But if everything is down, everything is off. So if this one is up, that's the bridge pickup. If I turn that off, I put on the neck pickup over here, you get that deeper tone from the neck. If they're both up, they're both on. It's the position I like best because it's kind of buttery and surfy. Now, you're asking, well, what's this one? This one is is like a strangle. It kind of thins it out, or I think it's supposed to be supposedly there's some kind of tonal change. I think it makes it a little thinner. It might be for picking. Back in the day, they would pick. And there was also, there is on this one. It's a bit beat up now. It's degraded over time. But this whole thing here is a like a muffer. What do they call that? I don't know. But it's foam, and it basically.
Okay.
So instead of using your hand to muff.
And how did you engage that?
You just push it up or down.
Okay.
again, this thing is so old, it's not even fully muffing everything.
Was that stock on the guitar though? That came
Yeah,
with the
that's
guitar?
how it came back in the day. And I believe there are, again, on some Gretsch guitars, like Country Gentleman, they had something similar to that.
Okay, nice.
But the foam always degrades over time, and this is, again, a 63, so it's as old as I am. And there
What do you got down here below there?
Right. Okay, so over here,
Yeah.
we have it's the alternate circuit. It's basically, whereas if we just had the neck pickup, this is also, if you flick this switch, well, so in the down position, it's your basic main switching system. If it's in the up position, it's just focused on the neck pickup, and this is the tone. And this is the volume, of course, obviously with full blast. So what a lot of people do, again, just for a little history, and you'll see the Jazzmaster has the same alternate route there, circuit. I think Leo Fender meant these to be like after the Strat and Telly, this was like the supreme guitars that were like for jazz musicians, so that they could do more of their
They had a
jazz,
lot of different
which
colors,
I would let you
varieties.
play jazz stuff, because I am not a jazz guy. I appreciate it, but not very good.
But it does have a lot of tonal possibilities. That's really
Right.
interesting.
Well,
This guitar's got a lot of...
The other cool thing, if you are a guy like in blues or something, and you're playing in your main channel, like let's just say you're in the bridge or something down here, you know, just doing rhythm or something, and then you wanna you've got your settings where the volume might be a little it's like your own little boost in the alternate circuit. So if you have this turned up and you're playing along, strumming, and then you're about to do your lead.
So that really kicks in.
Yeah. So, and then you can just flip back to rhythm again if you're doing.
It's like an afterburner.
Right, and so it's kind of a bit, but I think it was mainly intended for people to do jazz, but maybe there was, how it all ties in together and how you can utilize it nowadays is maybe making it kind of like your own lead boost kind of thing. But, you know, of course, there are pedals out there that do all that.
Yeah, and so this, Steve, this would have been a guitar that you would have seen surf bands playing in the early 60s, for sure.
Oh, yeah, this one, all right, so the I believe the Jazzmaster came first. Definitely 62s. They both were in 60. I don't remember the exact date they came out. Actually, the Jazzmaster came out in 59.
Okay.
The Jaguar came out. I'm not even sure I should say, because I'm not even sure.
Well,
But I believe 62.
Okay, but I'll check it. You'll see a little block on the.
Steve is an idiot and was wrong.
I'm going to post it. We'll find the exact date. And post
But I
You'll
think
see
it was 62.
Okay.
Because there are 62 models. I don't think there's ever been a 61.
But these represent some of the early surf guitars.
Yeah, and this is what a lot of the guys used, or Stratocasters.
And what year is that again?
63.
Okay.
1963.
And what year is this one?
1963.
Nice.
I was obsessed for hunting 63 because that's my birth year. And I found other equipment along the way that's also early 60s and is just as fun and fantastic. The interesting thing, again, if you're a guitar person, neck-wise, this is more of what they call the mid-60s oval. It's more rounded, so it fits in your hand really comfortably. The 62s were a bit slimmer. So if you buy modern Fender guitars that are modern C, I don't know, 15 years ago or whatever, they had the Fender 62 reissue line of guitars, like Strats, Jaguars, Tellys, Jazzmasters. They have that thinner 62 style neck. Then they just recently, 5 years ago or so, came out with the American Vintage 65 reissues, and those necks are more similar to this, a more fuller, comfortable neck. If you're a big guy like me and you got big hands,
You like the wider neck.
these are more comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not so much wider, but it's deeper.
Okay.
Because that way my hand, as like with a 52 Telly or a reissue Telly, with the U shape, which is also a big neck, chunky neck, is that I find you can rest your hand in your palm. I'm not, with the thinner guitar, I tend to have to over and kind of bend my hand, so my tendons get fatigued after like 20 minutes. But with a thicker neck, all that's doing the work is really just the fingers. And so I could play a Tele, like a 52 Tele, or these guitars, I could play these for hours.
So it's good to have different options for different people.
I've fallen asleep with
choices.
Yeah, I've fallen asleep with these in my hand because they're so comfortable and you just like to play. But if it's a thinner neck, the tendons in the hand for me just get tired. So
excellent. And how about this guitar?
So that's the Jazzmaster, and I think that is the. I think there are people who love both.
You've got the different. I noticed right away the different pickups. Of course, you got the single coil. We got the double coil.
Well, no, those are also single coil. They're in a bigger casing.
Right, okay.
They are. You would mistake these what we'd call soap bar pickup size to like a P90. They're very similar to P90s, but they're not P90s. P90s have like a sweeter tone. Those who played them probably know what I'm talking about. The Jazzmaster has more of a, also what I call a buttery tone. If you want to just strum, or even just sing along. It's just a nice. Now, are you in the neck? So go to the middle and then do that. Welcome to surf. Now a lot of guys play surf in neck, mostly bridge, usually like old rock and roll, in the that kind of thing. But there are some players who do play just in the neck, but I think a lot of that really surf tone to me is in both pickups. And if you have that in yours.
Yeah, I've got it on both.
Now, this guitar doesn't have a lot of sustain. Neither does this one, actually. But this one's even more clipped. I don't know why, maybe due to the scale. But it's got that clippy. But they both have kind of a creamy, rich tone that just sounds lovely, clean. Obviously, we're using reverb as well.
Yeah, it sounds great. I love it.
Yeah,
I haven't played these kind of guitars. If you've watched my videos, I play a different style of music, but I'm a big fan of the surf guitar. And when I plug this in, and I think it's time to talk about the amps.
Yeah, sure.
When I plugged this in, I was like, holy smokes, that's the sound.
So what we have here...
basement, maybe I can stand over here.
Sure. Dave is playing out of my 62 Bassman amp. I found it in a used guitar shop. Just one of those lucky buried treasure things. As well, it doesn't have a built-in reverb unit, like on board, like a lot of combo amps do nowadays. So what we used, like they did back in the 60s, and a lot of surf bands even to this day swear by these, is the old Fender reverb units. They have reissue units that people use too, but the true vintage ones, which are a bit pricey, are the ones that people like to have. They hold up. They're greatly well built, American made.
So good.
I mean, there's a lot of great equipment made everywhere in the world, but this stuff is from the 60s, so it's amazing. So that's a 62 Bassman amp playing out of the bass channel. As told by guitarists far more experienced than me, they say, yeah, the bass channel is a lot better than the normal. I've tried the normal, it's all right, but the bass, you definitely hear a tonal difference. The reverb unit has a dwell and a mix, and you can adjust it, so you can back off the reverb.
And right now,
you can add more.
You do have the guitar running through a pedal, so there's a delay.
I don't know if
I on a delay or not.
I think I turned it off for the video.
Okay, so this is just straight through this amp, but this is for the purposes of today talking about sort of what the magic is, for getting that surf guitar sound. We've got the '63. Fender guitar here we've got the basement amp, and we've got the
This is what the
the
kids
reverb
use.
there. So
Great bands like the Astronauts.
Yeah.
Dick Dale used the Strat, a left-handed one, or an upside-down right-handed one. He's a lefty, so he did what he did. And he did it. Actually, I think he played a normal right-handed guitar, turned it upside down,
yeah,
and played the heavier strings at the bottom. He that's why he's the king of surf. Just he's an amazing guy, like Hendrix. Just
Yeah.
different guitar styles and capabilities, I'm sure, but both lefties who did some great stuff. And the Jag as well. And again, the Jag is wonderful for not only maybe people with folks, guys and gals with smaller hands, but just again, you could do different. The fretboard, the frets, number of frets are a little different. I think off by a digit. So whereas I could do something here, I'd have to do maybe down here on that one or
Right.
something. So, but yeah, this is
So
what
is that
they
your
use.
favorite guitar? Your surf
For
stuff?
surf stuff, because of some of the songs I use really need me to get up right up here.
Okay.
It's more comfortable. On that one, I can't go there. It would be here, on
Right.
that neck. So what I learned from other, again, far more experienced surf guys, is they would bend that note to get that, bend this
I see.
here,
Right, instead of going up there.
or wherever it was. Sorry, it's a little off, but yeah, I love them both, and I was at the again, great communities like Gresh and Surf Guitar 101 forums. You can find them on the internet. They both have events over every year, and I got out to my first Surf Guitar 101 event last August, not this last August, but the year before, and a lot of guys are playing the Jazzmasters. Some guys are playing the Jags. Some guys are playing Stratocasters. So anything, honestly, when it comes to surf, if you have a single coil guitar, even a Tele or a Gresh guitar with single coils like Dynasonics or T-Armins or D-Armins, T-Armins are the TV Jones, and our version, you can, and you got some reverb, and you got a good amp, you're good. I think the nice thing about, for surf songs in general, there isn't a lot of sustain. So yes, you get your sustain like with Strats, or obviously with humbucking, or rail, you get that more of that sustain sound. And that's not to say there aren't some surf music out there that has a lot of sustain.
Right.
But for the old school stuff,
classic surf music from the
so
60s.
the 60s we call the first wave, from the 80s and 90s is like the second wave, and now the modern era is known as the third wave, third generation of surf, I guess, as it was told to me. And people play it all over the world. There's a lot of great modern stuff, so I wouldn't just focus on the classic stuff, which is some stuff still holds up really well. Some is a little more dated, but there are people creating new music out there.
Yeah.
Wonderful bands. You PM me or message me on my Twitter or whatever, and I can Surfy Sonica Twitter, whatever it is. I don't know. Ask me a question. I'll be happy to recommend a number of bands and things I listen to and have watched live. I've had the good fortune. But these do not sustain as well unless you get humbuckers or
Right, but that's not the purpose of it.
right.
So
But these guitars are obviously still along with surf.
right.
These guitars have been moved into the punk era.
Right. They're
With
they're
the Ramones did a lot of Mosrite stuff, guitars, but like Sonic Youth and other. I'm sure I'm just blanking, but there's a million bands out there that even Nirvana. Yeah, Nirvana he had a Jag, he had a Mustang, like that. I don't know if you can see it, but we have a Mustang up there. This is a great time to be alive to experience these wonderful instruments. People will tell you Strats and Tellys, you don't need anything else in terms of a Fender, but
Yeah.
this gives you something different, and it's fun. Sometimes these can be a pain. One of the things about these, again, mechanically, if you play, so with strings, you have flat wounds and you've got round wounds. I'm a round wounds guy. But the problem with, the way these were designed originally was assumed that people used flat wounds. And maybe a lot of them did back in the 60s. So there's no issue with the bridge. But when you put modern day round wounds on them, they slip off that bridge, especially if you're a hard player or whatever. So the trick for many folks for many years with this, again, this is a 7 and a quarter radius neck, whereas the modern 9.5 radius. So with the 7.25 radius, people would get the Fender Mustang bridge and swap out with this bridge so they can use round wounds and the strings wouldn't pop.
Okay,
great.
that makes sense.
And then, but there are a lot of modern bridge makers out there. The Stay Trem out of England, they make them for 9.5 radius as well, because you can't use a Mustang for 7 because the radius don't match. So they make a 9.25. What is my bridge there? Oh boy, what's that called again? I'm blank. We'll figure it out. But it's a ungodly. Well, no, it's a slightly expensive mastery bridge. Thank you.
Mastery bridge.
Memory's kicking in. Sorry. The mastery bridge is also wonderful. It's adjustable and are great replacements. But now Fender, and I'm not shilling for Fender or anything, but they've come out with the revamped classic series is now called the Ventera series, and their new moderately priced Jazzmasters and Jaguars have bridges that are similar to the Mustang bridge. So they're slotted better.
So you can use
round
wound.
You can use round wounds and be happy.
Okay, good.
And you don't have to hunt down aftermarket bridges like you used to.
Nice.
I just always I've asked them, whoever was that I've met at Fender. I got to go to the Fender factory tour one year while I was at the convention last year, and I'm like, why do you guys? But the answer was everybody played flat wounds, and if they're sticking to the tradition of the reissue of what was done in the 60s, that's what they use. So I think I take them right back.
Yeah, that wasn't your thing.
No,
Man.
It's a weird. You know what you know and what you're comfortable with.
Right.
But yeah, that's the other quirk that has now been
Kind of worked
resolved,
out.
and I think Fender also has for the modern player, the new kids who aren't interested in surf, there's a version, I think it's called the Modern Player or the Player series, and they've done away with the alternate circuit that not a lot of people use anyway. So it's not like it's missed.
Right.
Another really great modern Jaguar is the Johnny Marr signature Jag. He uses a telly switch. It's a 4-way actually.
Yeah. Slider. Yeah.
That's my playing out guitar. I swear by it. I actually upgraded its pickups to American Vintage 65 pickups, Fenders, so I get that more surfy sound, because his bare knuckle stock pickups, while lovely for everything else, it just didn't work for me for the surf stuff.
Right.
But
Nice.
but otherwise, it's a good day to be alive, to be playing, having access to not just the Jazzmaster and the Jaguar. Another one that we haven't talked about, but it's part of that family, is the Fender Mustang. And that was the student guitar that's been growing. And that's also used for surf and everything else too.
Wow, so
much.
Lots of information today, and what I think I've been impressed with Steve, since we've been talking and hanging out for the whole morning. We drank coffee and just talked about all this stuff, is that he's really good at putting guitars together as well. He's got guitars that are completely stock, but he's got other guitars that he gets like a body and he gets a neck and he gets the bridges and the pickups. So if you need any information on maybe taking a current guitar and making it a surfy sound, you could contact Steve. And we're going to play for a little bit here on the way out, and then we might attach another video of a little more playing. But thanks a lot for having me today, Steve.
Oh,
and
my pleasure.
This was a real blast. And if you want to, have your surf guitar sound, I think you've learned something now today about the amplifier, the guitar.
Can I embarrass you for a second?
Quickly.
So Dave and I grew up in the same town, went to the same schools, and the one thing that I've always respected about him, I didn't know him that well in school, but the one thing that I respected about him, that I think that's why great musicians are great musicians, is they put in the work. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've heard of your legend, you were the guy that instead of going out and playing all the time with friends, just playing baseball or whatever, you went home and you practiced your guitar and you learned how to play your instrument, and you became a master of it very quickly, but you put in the time and the hard work. Now, I took lessons from the same store as a kid. I learned the basics and I got around, but then I went out and played. I goofed off. And over the years, when I came back to the guitar, when I really got into surf, I started putting in the time and really listening and not just, it's about practice. Practice. And it makes you a better player. I'm a lot better than I was 20 years ago, definitely better than as a kid. But I've always had a great respect for you because you put in that time, just like any great pianist as a kid, sticking to those lessons, or violinist. So that says a lot. And I think kids out there today, if you really want to get good at something, this is a pure example of, like in any craft or any art, you have to put the time in,
Well, thanks. Yeah,
and if you love it, it's not work. Right?
No, and that's
and
the
you
key.
love it.
You
It's your
keep
passion.
loving it. Yeah, you got to keep the fun in it.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to keep the fun in it. And on that note, let's have fun for a second. Pipeline.
Absolutely, Dave. Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you soon for the next episode. And don't forget about contacting Steve in those forums. All right.